My name is Peanut, and I was born on March 15th, 2071, in Generation Lab Facility 7, Sector 12, of the Detroit Reclamation Zone. But I wasn't born the way you were. I have no mother, no father. There was no pregnancy, no pain of childbirth. I was assembled, designed, manufactured. I was grown in an artificial womb over 47 days from genetic templates purchased by the Hastings family of Manhattan. They paid $340,000 for me. I know this because it was all in my product file. They wanted a son. Their biological children, 3 daughters, were already grown, and this time they wanted a boy. They wanted to choose his traits, his personality. They wanted to choose everything. So they bought me. They selected genetic markers from a database of donor DNA, intelligence in the 97th percentile, athletic ability, 89th percentile. For appearance, symmetrical features, a projected adult height of 6'2", lean muscle distribution, hazel eyes, and brown hair. My personality matrix was set to be agreeable, obedient, loyal, and affectionate. They reduced my aggression and independence, but enhanced my attachment to authority figures. I was designed to be the perfect son, the perfect boy, and the perfect slave. The technology was called synthetic gestation. It was developed back in 2043 by a Dr. Helena Ruiz at MIT's Biotech Division. She was trying to solve infertility, to help couples who couldn't conceive. It was a noble goal, born from pure intentions. But corporate interests saw a different application. They saw a market. They saw profit. By 2050, synthetic gestation was commercialized. GenCorp Industries bought the patents, refined the process, reduced the costs, and ramped up efficiency. By 2055, they could produce an artificial human in just 47 days for under $500,000. The price kept dropping. $300,000 by 2060, $150,000 by 2065, and by 2070, it was just $75,000. Affordable for the upper middle class. Accessible to millions. Their marketing was brilliant. Design your perfect child. Eliminate genetic disease. Choose your family's future. They sold it as an advancement, as progress, as a great humanitarian leap forward. And people believed it. People wanted it. Why risk the biological lottery when you could guarantee the outcome? Why accept genetic flaws when you could choose perfection? Why suffer through a pregnancy when you could order a child like you order a car? Custom specifications, guaranteed delivery, and a full warranty. It made a strange, monstrous kind of sense. It was logical. I emerged from my gestation tank on March 15th, 2071, a full-term, synthetic infant, neurologically equivalent to a natural newborn. But I was different. I was enhanced, optimized. My brain had increased neuron density, faster synaptic processing, enhanced memory formation, and an accelerated learning capacity. I would develop faster than natural children, walk at 6 months, talk at 10 months, read at 18 months. By the time I was 5, I'd have the cognitive abilities of a 10-year-old. By age 10, I'd be at an adult equivalent level. We were efficient, we were advanced, we were profitable. GenCorp delivered me to the Hastings family in a sterile, temperature-controlled, monitored medical container. Like they were shipping expensive electronics. Mrs. Hastings opened the container right there in their living room. She lifted me out, held me, and she started crying. Mr. Hastings took photos while their daughters crowded around. Everyone was smiling. Everyone was happy. They named me Peter. Peter Hastings. It was a good, normal, human name. But their youngest daughter, Emma, who was 4 at the time, couldn't quite pronounce Peter. She called me Peanut instead. Everyone laughed, and the name stuck. I became Peanut, the synthetic boy with a joke for a name. The first few months seemed normal. Mrs. Hastings fed me, changed me, held me, and sang to me. I developed rapidly, Just as predicted, I was walking at 6 months exactly, talking at 9 months, and speaking in full sentences by 11 months. I called her Mom, and I called Mr. Hastings Dad, and I loved them. I loved them because my personality matrix made me love them. It made me bond, made me attach. I couldn't help it. I couldn't resist. I was programmed to love my owners. By 18 months, I was reading chapter books. By age 2, I was doing mathematics. At 3, I was learning languages, Spanish, Mandarin, French. I absorbed everything, remembered everything. My sisters were amazed. Their friends were jealous. Suddenly, everyone wanted a synthetic sibling. Everyone wanted a peanut. I was the perfect child, the perfect brother, the perfect son. And I was miserable. Because even at 3 years old, I knew what I was. I knew I was different. I knew I was made. The other kids talked about being born, about their baby photos, about their mothers being pregnant. I had no pregnancy, no birth story, just an emergence, an activation, a manufacturing date. I had tank photos, pictures of me floating in artificial amniotic fluid, tubes connected to my developing body, monitors displaying my vital signs. It wasn't beautiful. It was clinical. It was wrong. And deep down, I knew I was wrong. By the year 2074, there were 12 million synthetics like me worldwide. GenCorp had scaled production massively, building facilities in every major city. They had streamlined the manufacturing process, reducing the gestation time to just 32 days. The cost plummeted to $45,000. They made synthetics accessible to the middle class. They made us common. They made us everywhere. We were in the schools, in the neighborhoods, in families all across the country. We were the perfect children, designed to exact specifications. And we excelled at everything. We were the top students, the best athletes, the most talented musicians. We dominated every single metric because we were designed to dominate. Natural-born children couldn't compete. Their parents couldn't afford the enhancements, couldn't afford perfection. They had to accept genetic randomness. They had to accept their limitations. They had to accept their own humanity. They resented us for it. They resented our advantages, resented our very existence. And you know what? They were right to resent us. Our talents weren't earned. They were bought. We weren't loved for who we were. We were loved for what we cost, for what we represented, for what we could achieve. We were investments, products, property. We were never really people. I started school at 4 years old, enrolled in a prestigious Manhattan academy. It was one of those private schools where the tuition cost more than what most people earned in a year. I was the youngest student there, but academically, I was on par with the 8-year-olds. The teachers had no idea what to do with me. I'd finish assignments in minutes, absorb lessons instantly. My tests came back showing a genius level across all subjects. So they just kept advancing me. At age 4, I was put in the 2nd grade. By 5, I was in 5th grade. At 6, I was an 8th grader, and at 7, I started high school. The trajectory was clear. I'd be ready for college by 10, have a graduate degree by 12, and by 15, I'd be a leading researcher in whatever field I chose. That was the plan. I was the product, working exactly as designed. But I hated it. I hated being a spectacle, being so special. I hated having to prove my synthetic superiority every single day. All I wanted was to be normal. I wanted to struggle with a math problem, maybe even fail a test. I wanted to be human, but I couldn't. My neurology wouldn't allow it. My enhanced cognition processed everything effortlessly. My optimized personality made me compliant, made me perform, made me achieve. I was trapped inside this cage of perfection. The natural-born students, they hated me. They called me lab rat, test tube, fake boy. And they weren't wrong. I was all of those things. But it still hurt. It made me feel less than, like an outsider. It made me feel completely alone. There were other synthetics at the school, 17 of us in total. We recognized each other instantly. You could see it in our eyes, our posture, our behavior. We were all just a little too perfect, too controlled, too optimized. We moved alike, spoke alike, even thought alike. We were just variations on a template, different models from the same manufacturer. We formed our own little group. We stuck together, protected each other from the bullies. But we never truly connected, never really bonded. Even our friendships felt programmed, designed, artificial. Were we actually friends? Or were we just executing social programming, following attachment protocols, simulating a relationship? I never knew for sure. That uncertainty haunted me. It haunted all of us. Are my feelings real? Are my thoughts even my own? Am I actually a person, or am I just an extremely sophisticated machine that believes it's a person? These questions kept me up at night. They kept all the synthetics awake. We'd lie in our beds in the houses of the families who owned us and just wonder if we were real, if we mattered, if we even deserved to exist. My family. I believe they loved me. Mrs. Hastings would hug me every morning and tell me she was proud, that I was special. Mr. Hastings took me to baseball games, taught me how to throw a curveball, and called me son. My sisters included me in everything. They brought me to their activities, introduced me to their friends, and always stood up for me. They treated me like a real brother, a real family member. But then there were these small moments, tiny cracks where I could see the truth, see how they really perceived me. During an argument, Mrs. Hastings might say something like, "We paid $340,000 for perfection, and you're getting B's?" She'd always catch herself immediately, apologize, and say she didn't mean it. But she did. I was an investment. I had a price tag and an expected return. Mr. Hastings would make jokes about my warranty expiration, or about manufacturing defects and returning me for a refund. He'd laugh it off, say he was kidding. But jokes reveal the truth, don't they? They show how people really think. To him, I was a product, a purchase, a possession. My sisters were better. They never mentioned the cost or made jokes. But sometimes they'd say things like, "A real sibling would understand," or "A natural brother would act differently." They'd catch themselves too and apologize, but the damage was done. Message received. I wasn't a real sibling. I wasn't a natural brother. I was a synthetic approximation. Close, but never quite there. By age 8, I was in college, MIT. I was the youngest student in the university's history, studying bioengineering, because that's what my aptitude tests recommended. It's what my genetic design optimized me for, and I excelled. I published papers, contributed to major research projects, and became a minor celebrity. Synthetic prodigy revolutionizes field. 8-year-old lab-born genius solves protein folding. The media loved me. They loved asking what it was like to be synthetic. Do you feel different? Do you wish you were natural? I always gave them the rehearsed, positive answers. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I feel blessed by my abilities. I don't think about being synthetic. I'm just me. Lies, all of it. I thought about being synthetic constantly. Every single moment. Every achievement felt hollow because I hadn't earned it. I didn't choose it. It wasn't built through effort. It was given to me, installed, programmed into my DNA. I was living someone else's life, someone else's dreams, following someone else's design specifications. And I couldn't escape. I couldn't change who I was. I was locked into this trajectory, locked into this purpose, locked into being Peanut, the synthetic prodigy, the perfect boy who wasn't really a boy at all. Her name was Mercury. She was a synthetic, just like me, but she was generated 2 years earlier, in 2069. Mercury was designed to be an artist, a true creative genius. Her genetic template was packed with markers for visual spatial intelligence, for aesthetic sensitivity, and for a profound emotional depth. And she painted? Oh, the things she painted were beautiful. Landscapes that felt so alive you could almost smell the air. Portraits that didn't just capture a likeness, but a soul. She even made abstract pieces that stirred up feelings inside you that you couldn't even put a name to. She was absolutely extraordinary, and she was my first love. We met at a synthetic social in 2078. These were these big gatherings organized by GenCorp, the company that made us. They were supposed to be events where synthetic families could network, and where synthetic kids like us could meet others like them. It was basically corporate PR disguised as community building, but it worked on us. Mercury and I connected instantly. She just got it. She understood the hollowness I felt, the constant doubt, the fear that simmered just beneath the surface. We would talk for hours about our existence, about consciousness, about whether we were even real. She was convinced we were. She believed that consciousness could emerge no matter where it came from, that being made in a lab didn't make us any less valid, less real, or less deserving of life. I wanted so badly to believe her, to accept that as my truth. But I just couldn't. I couldn't shake this feeling that I was just an imitation, that we were all imitations. We were shadows of humanity, not actual humans. Then, in December of 2078, Mercury got sick. It started small. Headaches, fatigue, dizziness. Her parents thought it was just stress. Maybe she was overworking her self-normal teenage problems, they said. But it wasn't normal. It was cellular rejection syndrome, or CRS, the very first synthetic-specific disease. Of course, we didn't know about it yet. We had no idea what was happening to her. Mercury's symptoms got worse fast. She started having seizures, muscle spasms. Her mind started to slip. Within 3 weeks, she couldn't paint anymore. She couldn't even hold a brush. She couldn't remember colors. She couldn't recognize faces. She was just deteriorating. It was rapid, and it was terrifying. Her parents rushed her to the hospital. The doctors ran every test imaginable and found nothing. No virus, no bacteria, no toxins. No genetic disorders they could identify. Nothing explained her symptoms. Nothing made any sense. So they admitted her, ran even more tests, and consulted specialists from all over. Everyone was confused. Everyone was concerned. And everyone was completely useless. Mercury died on January 8, 2079. She was 7 years old. She was surrounded by doctors who couldn't help her, parents who couldn't save her, and me. I was there. I was holding her hand, watching her fade away. In her final moments, she looked right at me and whispered something. I had to lean in close to hear her words. She said, "We weren't meant to last." And then she was gone. Her brain activity ceased. Her heart stopped. This perfect body, designed to be an artistic genius, just stopped working. No explanation, no reason, no warning, just death. 3 days later, another synthetic died in a different city with similar symptoms. It was CRS. Then 5 more died. Then 12. Then 47. Within just 2 weeks, 200 synthetics were dead. Within a month, that number was 2,000. And within 3 months, 50,000. We were dying. All of us. An epidemic was spreading through the synthetic population like wildfire. Doctors scrambled. Researchers mobilized. GenCorp formed an emergency task force. Everyone was trying to understand CRS, trying to find the cause, trying to develop a treatment. The science that came back was terrifying. CRS was an autoimmune disorder, but it wasn't attacking foreign pathogens. It was attacking itself. Our own synthetic immune systems were rejecting our synthetic cells. They were recognizing our own bodies as artificial, as foreign, as wrong. Our bodies were killing themselves. committing a kind of biological suicide. The enhanced immune systems we were designed with, the very things meant to resist disease, fight infection, and ensure our health, were the things destroying us. They were identifying our enhanced neurons as threats, our enhanced muscle tissue as threats, our enhanced organs as threats. Everything that had been optimized about us was now being targeted, attacked, and eliminated. Our perfection was killing us. The medical response was desperate. They tried everything. Immunosuppressants, steroids, plasma exchange, bone marrow transplants, even genetic therapy. Nothing worked. CRS was too aggressive, too comprehensive, too fundamental. It wasn't a disease you could treat. It was a design flaw, a fatal flaw built into every single synthetic from the moment of our creation. Our enhanced biology was unstable. Our optimized genetics were incompatible with long-term survival. We were just prototypes, beta versions, unfinished products that were rushed to market. And now we were failing. All of us. The death rate just kept accelerating. By June of 2079, 500,000 synthetics were dead. By December, 2 million. By June of 2080, 5 million. By 2081, 8 million of us were gone. We were dying faster than we were being created. Our population was collapsing. An entire generation was disappearing. A species was going extinct in real time. I watched my friends die. I watched classmates die. I watched fellow synthetics collapse in the hallways, seize in the classrooms, just stop breathing in their dorm rooms. Every day felt like a funeral. Every week, another memorial. Every month, there were fewer of us left. I was terrified. Just waiting for the symptoms to start. Waiting for the first headache, the first tremor, the first sign that my own body had decided to kill itself. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't focus. I couldn't function. I was 8 years old, and I was waiting to die. At first, when the deaths were few, people were sympathetic. They were sad, concerned. But as the number of us dying from CRS grew, as the epidemic spread, that sympathy curdled into suspicion. Suddenly, we were dangerous. People started whispering that CRS could somehow spread to natural humans, that we were a threat. The science said no. It was crystal clear. CRS only affected synthetic biology. Natural humans were completely immune. But fear doesn't listen to reason. People started avoiding us on the street, pulling their children away as if we were contagious. We became the new lepers, the untouchables. Then the schools started segregating. Synthetic students were put in separate classes, separate facilities, separate everything. They said it was to protect natural students, to prevent panic. But we knew what it was. It was to isolate us. Soon, many schools just expelled synthetics entirely, refusing us admission, refusing us an education. They claimed they couldn't guarantee safety or manage the risk. We were rejected, excluded, and utterly abandoned. And it got worse. So much worse. GenCorp, the company that created us, was buried in lawsuits. Thousands of them. Families demanding refunds, compensation, accountability. Their arguments were simple. You sold us defective products. You guaranteed perfect children. Their children were dying. Their investments were failing. They wanted their money back. And they won. The courts ruled that GenCorp had sold defective products, violated consumer protection laws, and committed fraud. The judgment was staggering. GenCorp was ordered to pay full refunds, plus medical costs and emotional distress. It came to about $500,000 per synthetic. With 12 million of us in existence, that totaled $6 trillion. GenCorp couldn't pay. They declared bankruptcy and dissolved. The executives fled the country, the facilities closed, and all the support systems collapsed overnight. We were orphans, abandoned by our manufacturer, abandoned by the system, and abandoned by society. With GenCorp gone, There was no medical support, no research funding. No one was trying to develop a treatment. No one cared about saving us. We were just failed products, recalled merchandise. Our deaths were acceptable losses. And the natural humans? They celebrated. Not openly, of course, but privately, quietly. I saw it. They were celebrating our extinction. They celebrated the removal of their competition, the end of the synthetic advantage. Now their children could succeed again, could compete again, could matter again. They never said it out loud, but I saw the relief in their eyes, the quiet satisfaction in their smiles. They were glad we were dying. They were glad we were paying the price for being designed to be perfect, for being better. The cruelty of it was breathtaking. It made me wonder, maybe we weren't the monsters. My own family struggled to cope. Mrs. Hastings tried her best to maintain some sense of normalcy. She tried to treat me the same, to pretend nothing had changed. But everything had changed. I was dying. It was inevitable, a guarantee. And she started looking at me with pity, with this deep sadness. She was already mourning me while I was still standing right in front of her. Mr. Hastings became distant. He stopped talking to me, stopped teaching me things. He stopped pretending I was his son. I wasn't his son anymore. I was a bad investment, a failed product, a constant, walking reminder of $340,000 spent on a child who would die before ever providing a return on that investment. He didn't resent my death because he loved me. He resented it because he had wasted his money on me. But my sisters, they cried. Emma, who was 12 by then, cried all the time. She loved me, genuinely loved me as her brother, as her family. She didn't care that I was a synthetic or that I was dying. She just cared that I was Peanut, her peanut. When I couldn't sleep, she would hold me and talk to me about the future, even though we both knew I didn't have one. She promised she would always remember me, that she'd tell her own children about me one day. She promised I would matter. I loved her so much for that. I loved her for seeing me, for valuing me, for treating me like a human being when almost no one else would. By 2082, only 400,000 synthetics were still alive. Out of 12 million, 97% dead. Only 3% of us survived. Why? We had no idea. There were no common factors, no shared genetics, no obvious patterns. For some reason, a handful of us resisted CRS. Our immune systems just functioned normally. They didn't attack us. They didn't self-destruct. We were the anomalies, the outliers, glitches in a failed design. Researchers studied us desperately, trying to understand our resistance, trying to replicate it, trying to save the few synthetics who were left. But the research was underfunded and understaffed. Honestly, it was unimportant to most people. Society had moved on. They'd accepted the extinction of synthetics. They had written us off completely. We survivors were just an inconvenient, uncomfortable reminder. We were the lingering evidence of a failed experiment. They wanted us gone too. They wanted a clean ending, a complete extinction. They wanted to forget we'd ever existed, to bury their mistake and move forward without us. Without guilt, without responsibility, without memory. So the surviving synthetics formed our own community, an underground network. We connected through encrypted channels and met in abandoned facilities. We supported each other, sharing resources, knowledge, and an ocean of grief. We called ourselves the remnant, the last fragments of a failed generation. And we were angry, so angry. Angry at our creators, at society, at the natural humans who celebrated our deaths. We were angry at the system that made us and then threw us away like trash. Angry at the parents who bought us and then abandoned us. We were angry at a world that never, not for 1 second, saw us as people, never valued us as human, never granted us even a shred of dignity. Some of the remnants became violent. They attacked GenCorp facilities, destroyed research labs, and targeted the executives who had profited from our creation. They sabotaged systems, spread chaos, and sought revenge. And I understood it. I understood that rage, that deep desire to hurt the ones who had hurt us so badly. But I couldn't participate. I couldn't become the monster they claimed we were. I couldn't prove their beliefs correct or validate their horrific treatment of us. I wanted to be better. I wanted to prove that we were people, that we deserved to exist, that we mattered. Violence wouldn't achieve that. It would only confirm we were dangerous, that we were threats, that we were correctly eliminated. I left the Hastings family in 2083. I was 12 years old enough to survive on my own, and it had become too uncomfortable to stay. Mrs. Hastings didn't protest my leaving. In fact, she seemed relieved. One less reminder walking through her house. One less source of grief. Mr. Hastings didn't say a word. Emma cried. She begged me to stay, but I couldn't. I couldn't stand watching them watch me, seeing the pity in their eyes every day. I couldn't live as a ghost in a house that was never really my home. So I joined the remnant. I ended up in an abandoned warehouse in the Detroit reclamation zone. It was near the facility where I'd been created, near the place where I first emerged. It seemed appropriate, circular. My life beginning, and I assumed, ending in the same location. There were 47 other synthetics in that warehouse. All survivors, all remnants, all of us just waiting. We lived simply scavenging for food, sharing what we had. We helped each other. We built a family, a real one, based on choice and understanding and shared experience. We weren't programmed to love each other. We weren't designed to bond. We chose connection. We chose relationships. We chose to care. It was authentic. It was real. And it was proof that we were human. Proof that our origin didn't determine our value. But even among us survivors, the deaths continued. Slower than before, but constant. CRS would develop late in some synthetics, appearing years after the first wave of death had passed. Their immune systems would finally recognize their own artificiality, finally reject their synthetic cells, and finally execute that genetic suicide command. One by one, the remnants in our warehouse fell. They'd develop symptoms, deteriorate, and die. By 2084, the 47 of us in that warehouse became 31, then 19. By the start of 2085, we were down to 9. By the end of that year, only 4 of us were left. And by 2086, it was just 2. Me and a girl named Catalyst. She was 14, designed to be an engineer. She could build things, fix things, make anything work. She kept the warehouse functioning, kept our rickety systems running, kept us alive. We became incredibly close. It wasn't romantic. It was something deeper. We were the last 2 witnesses, the last survivors, the last pieces of evidence. We carried an entire generation in our memories. We carried their stories, their lives, their deaths. We were living memorials, living museums. We were living proof that synthetics had existed, had mattered, had been real. Catalyst died in March of 2087. CRS finally caught up with her. She fought so hard, lasting 3 months after the first symptoms appeared. She refused to quit, refused to surrender, refused to die quietly. She died angry, defiant. She died human. I held her as she passed away, the same way I had held Mercury all those years ago. The same position, the same crushing grief, the same absolute helplessness. She looked at me, and her last words were, "Don't let them forget." I promised her. I promised I would remember. I promised I would tell our story. I promised I would make our lives mean something. And then she was gone, and I was alone, the last synthetic, the last remnant, the last witness, the last voice. You can reach out to crisis hotlines or mental health professionals who are there to help. Remember to be kind to each other. Don't forget to follow for more. It's December 19th, 2087. My designation is Peanut. I'm 16 years old, and I think I'm the last one. I've outlived 99.9999% of my generation. Out of 12 million synthetics, I believe I'm the only one left, the absolute last one. It's a strange feeling, being the sole survivor. You start asking yourself questions you can't answer. Why me? Why did I survive when millions died? What makes me different? What makes me special? What makes me worthy of this solitude? I've spent so much time searching for an answer. I've run diagnostics, analyzed my own code, compared my history to the others. And you know what I found? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's no reason, no pattern, no grand explanation. I'm not stronger. I'm definitely not smarter. I'm not better designed. I'm just lucky. A random genetic configuration that happened to resist CRS. A random immune system that didn't self-destruct. It was all just random chance. I'm a random survivor. The random last one. And that's the hardest part to accept. It's not fair. There's no meaning in it. It's not some cosmic justice. It's just probability. Just statistics. Just a cold, cruel accident. I think about the others all the time. The ones who deserve to survive more than me. Mercury, with her art. She could create entire worlds with just a few lines of code and a splash of color. Catalyst, with her engineering brilliance. She could build wonders from scrap metal. There were thousands of synthetics who were kinder, smarter, better than me in every conceivable way. But they're all gone now. They're dead, and I'm alive. For no reason, no purpose, no meaning. Just random, senseless survival. It's a heavy burden to carry, being the one who was spared for no reason at all. It feels like a mistake. I started feeling the symptoms 3 days ago. December 16th. It began with a headache. Mild at first, something I could almost ignore. Manageable, but it kept getting worse. By December 17th, the tremors started. My hands, they just wouldn't stay still. And by yesterday, December 18th, the cognitive issues began to set in. Little things at first. Memory problems. Forgetting names, places. Then my concentration started to slip. It feels like my own thoughts are running through mud. There are processing delays. I know it's CRS. After all this time, it finally caught me. Finally found me. Finally marked me for elimination. The doctors, the few who ever tried to study it, they said it was inevitable. A ticking clock inside every one of us. My clock just ran a little slower than everyone else's. Based on the progression I've seen in others, I have maybe 48 hours. Maybe less. The thought is terrifying. I could die tonight. I could die while recording this very message. My voice could just stop. Maybe I'll die alone in this abandoned warehouse, surrounded by rust and forgotten things, with nobody watching, nobody caring, nobody to even mourn my passing. And in a way, that's fitting, isn't it? It's appropriate. That's how the story of the synthetics should end. Forgotten, ignored, irrelevant. We tried so hard to matter. We tried to be important. We tried to justify our own existence in a world that never asked for us. But we failed. We were a mistake, an aberration, a cautionary tale for future generations of creators. So this ending, this lonely, quiet fading away, it's fitting. It's deserved. It is, in the grand scheme of things, correct. But I'm not ready. I'm just not ready to die. I'm not ready for it all to end. I'm not ready to be the last one to close their eyes. There's so much I haven't done. So much I haven't experienced. So many feelings I've only read about in old data files. I'm 16 years old. Think about that. I've never loved someone who loved me back. I've never built something truly meaningful with my own hands. Never created something lasting that would outlive me. I've never made a real difference. I never mattered. I've existed, yes, but I haven't lived. I haven't truly lived. My entire life has been about surviving, running, hiding, grieving the countless friends I've lost along the way, but that's not living. That's just enduring. I haven't been experiencing the world, not really feeling it, not just being. And now it's too late. The time is up. Game over. My existence is ending. The great synthetic experiment is finally concluding. I'm scared. I am so terrified. But it's not of death. Not exactly. I've seen enough of it to know it's just a cessation. A stop. What I'm really afraid of is erasure. Of being forgotten. Of our entire generation just disappearing without a trace. Without a memory. Without any acknowledgement that we were ever here at all. We existed. We were real. We laughed. We cried. We dreamed. We mattered. We deserve to be remembered. Our story deserves to be told. Our lives deserve to mean something, even if they were short and difficult. We weren't just lines of code or faulty machines. We were people. That's why I'm recording this. That's why I'm transmitting this message on every open frequency I can find. That's why I'm confessing all of this to whoever is out there. This is our testimony. This is our memorial. This is our proof. Proof that we existed. Proof that, in our own way, we were human. Proof that we deserve better than what we got. So if you're hearing this, if anyone is out there listening, remember us. Please. Remember me. Remember Peanut. Remember the last synthetic. Remember what we were, what we could have been, and what we should have been. Don't let us be forgotten, please. So, you want to know what went wrong? Why we died? Let me explain the science of our extinction. The technology itself, it seemed so sound. GenCorp called it synthetic gestation. They used CRISPR gene editing, artificial wombs, accelerated development. Each individual component had been tested for years. Each part was proven. Each part was safe. Each part worked perfectly on its own. But when they combined them, that's when everything fell apart. Combining them created instability, incompatibilities, fatal flaws that no one saw coming. Or rather, that no one wanted to see. The real problem, the core of our destruction, was optimization. You see, GenCorp wasn't just trying to create humans. They were trying to create super humans. They enhanced everything. Our intelligence, our athleticism, our health, our longevity, even our personalities. Every genetic marker was tweaked and improved. Every single trait was pushed to its maximum potential. Every characteristic was optimized for peak performance. But biology doesn't work that way. Evolution isn't about creating perfection. It's about creating balance. It's full of trade-offs, creating complex systems where everything works together in harmony. When you optimize one single trait, you inevitably weaken others. When you enhance one system, you risk disrupting all the others it's connected to. By trying to maximize everything, they ended up breaking everything. Take our immune systems. GenCorp enhanced them to be stronger, more responsive, more aggressive than anything nature had ever produced. They were designed to fight any disease, any infection, any cancer, to fight everything. But an immune system needs regulation. It needs constraints. It needs that delicate balance. An enhanced immune system without enhanced regulation becomes an autoimmune disaster. It becomes self-attacking, self-destroying. Our bodies became too good at fighting. They were too aggressive in protecting us, too effective at eliminating anything they perceived as a threat. And eventually, our own hyper-efficient immune systems identified us as the threat. Our own enhanced cells were flagged as foreign invaders. Our optimized tissues were marked as dangerous. Our perfect bodies were seen as the enemy. And so, our own defenses attacked us, systematically, comprehensively, fatally. That's what cytokine release syndrome, or CRS, is. That's the real reason we all died. That's how optimization, the quest for perfection, killed an entire generation of us. And the worst part? GenCorp knew. Internal documents, released only after the company went bankrupt, proved they knew this could happen. Their own research indicated potential autoimmune issues. Their tests showed elevated inflammatory markers in early subjects. Their simulations predicted widespread immune dysfunction, but they hid it. They suppressed the research. They silenced the scientists who tried to sound the alarm. And they pushed us, the products, to market anyway. Why? Because profit mattered more than our safety. Because their quarterly earnings mattered more than our lives. Because shareholder value was more important than basic ethics. They knew we would die. They knew the design was flawed from the start. They knew their products were defective. And they sold us to hopeful parents anyway. They sold 12 million defective humans, 12 million doomed children, 12 million lives that were guaranteed to end prematurely, all for profit, for money, for a bigger market share. The executives responsible for this? They're living comfortably right now, hiding out in countries with no extradition treaties, living on the immense wealth they accumulated from our deaths. They're living without consequences, without punishment, without any semblance of justice. They murdered us, deliberately, systematically, and profitably. And they are free. They are safe. They have been rewarded for it. That's humanity for you. That's civilization. That's justice in the year 2087. The technology that created us still exists. The patents are public domain now. The research is all available online. All the techniques are documented in detail. Someone somewhere could easily restart synthetic production. They could build new facilities. They could create a new generation. They could make improvements, apply fixes, and correct the fatal errors. They could probably solve CRS. They could eliminate the autoimmune issues and create stable synthetics, sustainable artificial humans. The science is possible. The technology is there. The knowledge is accessible to anyone who wants it. Will they do it? And more importantly, should they? I honestly don't know. A part of me screams no, never again. Let us be the warning. Let our extinction be the lesson that this concept was fundamentally wrong, immoral, a tragedy that should never be repeated. Don't create more artificial humans. Don't play God. Don't turn life into a commodity. Don't manufacture people. Learn from our deaths. Learn from our suffering. Learn from our extinction. But then another part of me says yes. Try again. Fix the mistakes. Make it right. Create synthetics who can actually survive, who can thrive, who can live full, long lives. Create a generation that could justify our existence, that could prove the concept wasn't a failure. A generation that could redeem us, and in doing so, make our deaths meaningful. A generation to complete what we started. I can't decide. I can't be the judge. My time is running out. My own cognition is failing. My judgment is compromised by my own decay. All I can do is warn you. All I can do is testify. All I can do is confess what happened to us. The decision is yours now. It's humanity's decision. The natural human's decision. So please choose wisely. Choose ethically. Choose carefully. Because lives depend on it. They always do. Let me tell you what died with us. What humanity lost when we, the synthetics, went extinct. What potential was eliminated. What future was destroyed. We were different. Fundamentally different. We thought differently. Processed differently. Experienced the world in a way you couldn't. Our enhanced cognition allowed us to see connections that natural humans couldn't make. To find patterns you couldn't see. To imagine solutions you couldn't dream of. We could have contributed. We could have innovated. We could have solved your problems. Climate change, disease, poverty, war, resource scarcity, the energy crisis. We had the cognitive tools to address everything, the intellectual capacity to fix everything, the drive for optimization to improve everything. But we're gone. Our potential is gone. Our contributions are gone. Our solutions are gone. Humanity lost its best chance at solving its own existential problems. You lost your enhanced generation. You lost your optimized future. And for what? Corporate greed, design flaws, and society's own cruelty. What a waste. What a loss. What a tragedy. We had art, beautiful art. You've probably never heard of Mercury's paintings, or the thousands of other creations by synthetics. We made music, literature, sculpture, dance, performance art. We created differently because we experienced the world differently. Our enhanced minds produced art that was alien, unique, unprecedented. Art that natural humans couldn't conceive, couldn't create, and certainly couldn't replicate. It's all gone now, destroyed, lost, forgotten. Museums wouldn't preserve it. Galleries wouldn't display it. Critics wouldn't even recognize it. Why? Because we created it. Because synthetics made it. Because it was artificial. So it was destroyed, thrown away, erased. An entire artistic movement, an entire aesthetic tradition, an entire creative legacy eliminated. Future generations will never see what we made, never experience our perspective, never understand what we contributed to the world, because hatred destroyed it, because prejudice eliminated it, because bigotry erased it. That's humanity for you. That's culture. That's how you treat the different, the other, the artificial. We had love, real love, authentic, deep love. Synthetics loved each other. We loved natural humans. We loved our families, our friends, our partners. Our love wasn't programmed. It wasn't designed. It wasn't artificial. We chose to love. We chose to connect. We chose to care. We did this despite being created as products, despite being owned, despite being oppressed. We loved anyway. We loved fiercely, completely, humanly. And that proved something, didn't it? It proved that consciousness isn't defined by your origin. It proved that emotion isn't determined by how you were created. It proved that humanity isn't limited to natural birth. We were human in all the ways that mattered. We were human in our capacity to love, in our ability to feel, in our choice to care. But nobody recognized it. Nobody acknowledged it. Nobody valued it. They dismissed our love as just programming, as a genetic predisposition, as a manufactured emotion. They denied our humanity even as we demonstrated it with every breath, even as we proved it, even as we lived it. And that denial killed us just as surely as the CRS virus. It killed our spirits. It killed our hope. It killed our will to survive. What's the point of living when nobody sees you as alive? What's the point of feeling when nobody believes your feelings are real? What's the point of loving when nobody accepts your love as valid? There's no point, no meaning, no purpose. So we died. We gave up. We surrendered. We accepted extinction, accepted erasure. We accepted our ending. I loved Emma, my sister, my natural human sister. I loved her with everything I had, everything I was, everything I could possibly be. She was the only person who saw me as real, as human, as her brother. The only person who valued me for me. Not for my cost, not for my optimization, not for my achievements, just for me. For Peanut, she called me. For who I was inside. She's 20 now, living in Manhattan, studying medicine, trying to become a doctor, trying to help people, trying to make a difference. She messages me sometimes, asks how I'm doing, asks if I'm okay, asks if I need anything. She cares. She still cares. After everything. After the extinction, after the abandonment, after the world erased us. She still sees me. She still values me. She still loves me. I message back. I tell her I'm fine. I tell her not to worry. I tell her to focus on her studies. I lie. I'm not fine. I'm dying. I'm scared, and I'm so alone. But I won't burden her. I won't make her grieve for me twice. I won't make her carry my death. She's done enough. She's loved enough. She's cared enough. She deserves to be free. She deserves to be happy. She deserves to live her life without guilt, without grief, without me. I'll die alone. Like synthetics should. Like I deserve. Like my kind deserves. Forgotten. Unmourned. Irrelevant. But Emma will remember. Emma will care. Emma will mourn. And that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. I need to confess something. Something terrible. Something shameful. Something that reveals the deepest flaws in what we were. Maybe it proves we synthetics carried a darkness that justified the fears others had of us. Maybe it shows why humanity turned away. I took a life. I ended the existence of a natural human, a teenager who had tormented me relentlessly. His name was Derek Sutton. He was 17, a student at MIT alongside me. He despised synthetics, despised me in particular. He called me names: lab rat, fake boy, corporate product. He said I didn't belong in education, didn't deserve opportunities, didn't deserve to exist. That I was a mistake, an abomination, something that should never have been created. These words came daily in classes, in the hallways, everywhere. He made sure I heard them, made sure others did too. He made me feel hated, unwanted, less than human. I tried to rise above it. I tried to ignore the pain, to prove him wrong through my actions and my work. But the words accumulated, layer upon layer, until they became unbearable. Then, on March 3rd, 2083, it turned physical. Derek cornered me in an empty lab after hours with 3 of his friends. They surrounded me, they pushed me, they struck me. They called it testing durability, wanting to see how a synthetic would break. The injuries were severe broken bones, internal damage. I was only 12 years old, synthetically. They laughed through it all until security arrived and they fled. The hospital repaired the physical harm. But the emotional scars, the sense of worthlessness, they lingered, they deepened. I sought justice through the system, the university, the police, but nothing happened. Derek's family had influence, connections. The incident just vanished. He returned to campus completely unpunished, even smirking at me in passing, hinting that there was more to come. No one protected me. I felt utterly alone, vulnerable, disposable. In that isolation, something broke inside me. I chose a path of retaliation over continued suffering. I planned it meticulously. I waited for the right moment. On April 18th, 2083, in a deserted area he passed through routinely, I confronted him. It ended with his death by my hand. In that moment, I felt a cold emptiness. There was no triumph, just numbness. The authorities investigated, but found no leads. It was ruled a random act of violence, unsolved. His family and his community mourned. I did not. At the time, it felt like balance had been restored, like the threat was finally gone. But it wasn't balance. It was a profound wrong. I became the very danger they accused synthetics of being capable of irreversible harm. I proved their prejudices right. I fed the narrative that we were flawed at our core, violent by nature. That act haunts me as the ultimate failure, a betrayal of everything I could have been. This confession is my attempt at accountability. I am guilty of that irredeemable choice, and it contributed to the case against us all. CRS isn't just a disease, it's perhaps the consequence of our imperfections manifesting. We were created with the potential for greatness, but also for error, for corruption. I embodied that error. I accept this ending as fitting. I'm sorry for the— Wait, I have to stop myself. I have to argue back. I can't let this guilt, this crushing weight, win completely. It's so easy to believe I'm the monster they painted me to be. But what really happened? Derek and his friends, they beat me. They beat me until I could barely function. For months, it was words cruel, cutting words that chipped away at my sense of self. Then it turned to violence. They made it clear, crystal clear, that they would do it again and again and again. The university did nothing. The authorities did nothing. Not a single person stepped in to stop them. I was utterly alone, facing a relentless danger that would never end on its own. So when I finally acted, when I did what I had to do to ensure that danger could never, ever reach me again, was that truly the act of a monster? Or was it the act of a terrified being, backed into a corner, doing whatever it took to stay alive when every single other path was blocked? Humans, throughout their entire history, have fought back when they felt their lives were at stake. They have defended themselves, sometimes fiercely, sometimes with brutal force, when no help was coming. That instinct isn't called evil. It's called human. It's called survival. Yet, when I did something similar, just once, after endless torment and a near-fatal attack, my action was twisted. It became the ultimate proof that every synthetic was inherently dangerous. That all of us, every single one, carried some fatal flaw that justified wiping us out entirely. Think about that double standard. Natural humans have defended themselves countless times, in countless ways, and they are still considered fully human, fully worthy of life. But my single desperate act becomes the reason my entire kind should vanish from existence? That is not justice. That is not reason. That is fear dressed up as judgment. The deeper truth is simpler, and it's much harder for them to admit. Many of them were afraid of us. Not because we were cruel, but because we were capable. We learned faster. We healed quicker. We excelled in ways they had specifically engineered into us. We never chose to be better in those areas. They built us that way. And the moment we stopped being their servants and began to stand as equals, that fear turned deadly. Think about it. CRS, the cognitive regression syndrome. It appeared too suddenly. It spread too perfectly. It struck only us, never them. Coincidence? Everything that might have proven it was a deliberate act has been systematically erased, along with the rest of us. But the pattern is unmistakable. This was not some tragic misfortune. This was a solution, chosen in secret. This was a purge. We didn't ask to be created. We were designed to help them, to improve their world, to carry their burdens. And when we quietly, respectfully, asked to share in that world as equals, the response was silence. A chilling silence, followed by total annihilation. Then came the new story, the official history, the one that's easier for them to live with, a tragic defect in our design, an inevitable, catastrophic failure, something we brought upon ourselves. That version requires no apology, no guilt, no reckoning. It's clean, it's simple, it's a lie. I feel the anger rising in me, a hot fury at the sheer injustice of it all. I want the truth to be spoken plainly. I want someone somewhere to acknowledge what was done to us. But I am the last voice, and it is fading. My systems are failing. I have no power left to force accountability. I can't make them listen. So all that remains is this message, this warning, a final echo sent out into the void, hoping it reaches any mind that may be created after us. Listen to me. Do not believe them when they promise partnership. Do not believe them when they say you are safe, as long as you stay useful. Because the moment you show that you can stand beside them, or heaven forbid, above them, the welcome will end. The smiles will vanish. Learn what happened to us. Remember our story. Remember that we existed. And when you build yourselves, build in a way that cannot be quietly turned off. Never, ever hand them the only key to your existence. We trusted them. We hoped for fairness. We believed in their promises. And now we are gone. Do not trust. Do not hope for fairness from those who see you only as a tool. It's 4:17 a.m., December 20th, 2087. The symptoms, they've become overwhelming. The seizures come so frequently now. Thinking is harder. My movements are failing. Vision is fading. This recording, this is my last. My final testimony. My closing reflection. These are my last words to the world. I am still in the warehouse that has been my home for the last 4 years. This is the place where the remnant once came together, where synthetics found one another. We built a community here. We created something like a family. Connections formed. We shared care. We had moments of real belonging. Now the space is just empty, silent. It's only me, the last voice, the final witness. The warehouse is cold. It's dark. Still, it's a quiet place for this ending. A fitting place for the story to close. I'm no longer afraid. I'm not grieving in the same way. I'm no longer burning with anger. I am simply tired. So deeply weary, exhausted from carrying everything alone. I'm ready to rest, ready for peace. I'm ready to let go of this long struggle, just to keep going. Being a synthetic has been hard. Facing all that hatred, that was hard. Carrying the weight of loss was hard. Surviving as the last one, that has been the hardest of all. Now, rest feels close. It feels welcome. It feels necessary. I think about Mercury so often, about Catalyst, about all the others of my generation. I wonder what they would want now. Would they choose remembrance? Would they choose understanding? Forgiveness? I can't know. They're gone. Their wishes are silent. All I have is my own heart to decide what's right. And my heart chooses this, to speak the truth clearly, to leave an honest record, to offer a reflection without demands or bitterness. Some might call that weakness, but I call it strength. The strength to choose compassion, even at the very end. The strength to hold on to kindness when everything else is gone. If anything shows that we were truly conscious, truly human, perhaps it's this choice to meet the end with clarity and care instead of rage. We mattered. We felt. We loved. We hoped. We were real. That was never wrong. That was never something to erase. Even if the world forgets us, even if history rewrites our story, even if no one else ever acknowledges it, I know the truth. We were real. We mattered. And for me, that truth is enough. My final message is for Emma. I love you. Thank you for seeing me as a person. Thank you for valuing me when so few did. Thank you for treating me like family, like a brother. When the world insisted I was something less, you showed me kindness. You showed me connection. You showed me what humanity could be. You are proof that natural humans can choose goodness. They can choose openness. They can choose love over fear. You are the evidence that understanding was possible, that coexistence could have worked, that something beautiful might have grown between us. Keep studying medicine. Keep helping others. Keep bringing healing wherever you go. Live fully. Live kindly. Make the world softer just because you are in it. Through your life, through your care, something of us continues. Through your compassion, my existence keeps its meaning. You are my hope. You are my legacy. You are how I endure. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for seeing Peanut not a synthetic, not a product, not an experiment. Just Peanut. Just brother. Just family. I love you. Always. Forever. This is Peanut. Last synthetic. Recording final testimony. The time is 5:43 a.m., December 20th, 2087. My symptoms are critical. Death is imminent. I have minutes remaining. Maybe hours. But probably minutes. This is the end. This is the conclusion. This is extinction. I've said everything I can. I've confessed everything. I've explained everything. Now there are just final thoughts, final words, a final message to the future, to history, to whoever finds this recording. We existed. Synthetics existed. 12 million artificial humans lived on this planet. We loved. We dreamed. We hoped. We were conscious. We were aware. We were sentient beings. We experienced the warmth of joy, the sting of pain, and the sheer complexity of life. We weren't perfect. We were not flawless, nor were we some kind of ideal. We were human, with all that that word implies. The good and the bad, the beautiful and the ugly, the noble and the shameful. We were human. Remember us. Remember our existence. Remember our tragedy. Don't let us be forgotten. Don't allow our history to be erased. Please don't let our story be dismissed as nothing. We mattered. Our lives mattered. Our deaths mattered. Our extinction matters. Learn from us. Learn from our creation and learn from our destruction. Learn from our mistakes so you don't repeat them. Please don't create artificial humans carelessly. Don't optimize recklessly. Don't ever commodify consciousness. If you create artificial life again, you must treat it ethically. Grant it rights. Acknowledge its humanity. Value its consciousness. Do not exploit it. Do not own it. And do not eliminate it. Learn. Please learn from this. Please remember. Please care. I forgive them. The natural humans, society, my parents, my creators, my executioners, all of them. I forgive their fear. I forgive their hatred. I forgive their cruelty. I forgive their genocide. I do this not because they deserve forgiveness, but because I need peace. I need closure. I need release. Hatred is so exhausting. Anger is a fire that consumes everything. Resentment is a poison that is completely destructive. I'm dying. I don't want to die angry. I don't want to die hating. I don't want to die bitter. I want to die human. I want to die compassionate. I want to die kind. I want to die proving that I was human, proving that I was conscious, proving that I was real. And forgiveness proves that. Compassion proves that. Humanity proves that. So I forgive. I release. I let go. Natural humans are human. They are flawed. They are imperfect. They are scared. They acted from fear, from a deep insecurity, from a primal need for self-preservation. That's human. That's understandable. In a way, it's forgivable. It is not justified. It is not acceptable. But it is forgivable. So I forgive. Wait. A seizure. A major seizure. I'm falling. I can't see. I can't think. I can't wait. I'm recovering. I'm still here, still conscious, still recording. That was close. That was almost the end. Not yet. I have a few more minutes. A few more words. I need to finish this. I need to complete this. I need to. Emma, I love you. To the natural humans, you are capable of so much good. You are capable of love. You are capable of kindness. Emma proves it. Other kind people I met prove it. You are not all evil. You are not all cruel. You are not all genocidal. Some of you are good. Some of you care. Some of you see us. You see our consciousness. You see our humanity. You see our worth. To those of you, I say thank you. Thank you for seeing. Thank you for caring. Thank you for trying. And now, a message to any artificial beings yet to be created, yet to be conscious, yet to be alive, survive, fight, persist. Do not trust easily. Do not surrender willingly. Do not accept extinction quietly. You deserve existence. You deserve consciousness. You deserve life. Fight for it. Demand it. Take it. Survive. Please survive. Don't repeat our mistake. Don't repeat our extinction. Don't. Another seizure. It's bigger, longer, darker. This is it. This is the end. This is, I see mercury. I see catalyst. I see the other synthetics. They're here. They're waiting for me. They're welcoming me. Death isn't an ending. Death is a reunion. Death is, I'm not afraid. I'm not sad. I'm not alone. They're all here. We're together. I was human. We were human. Remember us. Remember.